In riveting testimony on Capitol Hill Tuesday, one federal agent stated simply, someone was going to die. And a federal agent did, from guns supplied in the so-called gun walking scandal that was first brought to you by CBS News. Those hearings resumed today, involving the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. CBS News investigative correspondent Cheryl Atkinson, who broke the story back in February, joins us from Washington this morning with the latest. Cheryl, good morning.
Good morning. First up at today's hearing will be 3 sitting ATF special agents who helped blow the whistle on the controversial operation.
It's been 3 months since ATF Special Agent John Dodson first told CBS that his own agency let thousands of weapons walk onto the streets, many of them into the hands of Mexican drug cartels.
I'm boots on the ground here in Phoenix and telling you we've been doing it every day since I've been here. Here I am. Tell me I didn't do the things that I did. Tell me you didn't order me to do the things that I did. Tell me it didn't happen. Now you have a name on it, you have a face to put with it. Here I am. Someone now tell me it didn't happen.
Since then, congressional investigators have interviewed Dodson and other ATF agents and Phoenix area gun dealers who claim ATF urged them to sell to suspicious characters, a strategy that apparently aimed to get at cartel kingpins behind escalating drug violence in Mexico.
The people you want to get to are the people who are able to coordinate and finance these types of operations. They're the folks who will stay around. If you take them, then you disrupt. It's really basically, you want to take out an agency, a terror agency, strike at the head of the snake.
Whatever the intentions, many insiders claim the gun walking was wildly dangerous and irresponsible. Last night, congressional investigators released a lengthy narrative of the allegations, pulling from documents and testimony collected behind closed doors since our first report. The congressional report claims there was a shift in strategy in the fall of 2009 that led to the gun walking and was known and authorized at the highest levels of the Justice Department. CBS News has learned that one ATF official told investigators the direction came in a memo issued by then Deputy Attorney General David Ogden. But Ogden told CBS News his memo made no specific mention of gun walking and that he didn't advocate or know about it. Ogden left the Department of Justice in February of last year, just a few months into the controversial operation. President Obama has said neither he nor his top justice official approved it either.
Well, first of all, I did not authorize it. Eric Holder, the Attorney General, did not authorize it. There may be a situation here in which a serious mistake was made. If that's the case, then we'll find out and we'll hold somebody accountable.
The congressional report states that less than 2 months into the operation, agents believe there was already enough information to arrest the purchasers, try to flip them, and begin working up the chain with an eye toward the bigger fish in the cartels.
But instead, ATF allowed suspects to continue buying and transferring those assault weapons, sometimes 40 at a time, for more than a year. All the while, ATF collected reports of the guns turning up at cartel crime scenes in Mexico and the U.S. Erica.
Cheryl Atkinson in Washington this morning. Cheryl, thanks. Also joining us from the nation's capital this morning, California Republican Congressman Darrell Issa, who's chairman of the committee holding today's hearing. Sir, good to have you with us this morning.
Well, thanks for having me on, and I think Cheryl said it very well. She's been on this since, not the start, but since the breaking of the story. She helped make this something you're aware of. And more importantly, Senator Grassley has been tenacious about getting to the bottom of this.
You've been working very hard to get to the bottom of this as well. Tell us, in your dealings personally with the DOJ and the ATF, how forthcoming have they been with you?
Not at all until recently. They've really stonewalled this. They used the minority on the committee to try to obstruct it. What's beginning to happen is somebody must have figured out that this investigation can't end until at the highest level, including the president, they say this is not a may have been. This was a failed program from the planning on. This is a bad practice, and we have to have assurances this will never happen again.
The DOJ and the ATF, though, expressing concern that if they disclose certain information at this point in time, that it could perhaps compromise other investigations, specifically perhaps even the trial of the trafficker who's accused of buying guns, which were found, of course, at the site of the killing of Agent Terry. On Monday, Representative Elijah Cummings saying in a letter to you, you should really hold off on these hearings until criminal prosecution is complete. Are you concerned at all that these hearings could in some way compromise any of those dealings?
Well, that letter is sort of indicative of the kind of obstruction that the Democrats on the committee have done on behest of the president and his administration. They may not realize how absurd it is to say that we're obstructing. Understand, a man was killed, Brian Terry. He was killed with guns that were, in fact, supplied by the government. That doesn't change the trial of the murderer. The trial of the murderer will have no bearing. It doesn't matter where he got the gun from. He's a murderer. What we have to ask is, why is it the president says something may have gone wrong, and months go by, and they're not saying somebody at the highest levels, the levels in which this was funded, coordinated, and authorized, nobody has lost their job. There's been no looking at justice. There's only been pushing it down and saying, well, you know, this was a rogue operation. It wasn't a rogue operation. The people they want to accuse of being rogues are the people who came forward, including today's witnesses, who are going to say this was wrong, and we've got the proof that we kept saying it was wrong. Well, the DAG and others kept pushing this investigation. So
then, sir, what's your ultimate goal here? You mentioned you want to hear them say it was a failed program. You want the assurance that it won't happen again. But it sounds like you also want, you know, for lack of a better term, you want some heads to roll here. You want someone to take responsibility. Is that correct?
Brian Terry's family deserves a full understanding of how their son, their family member, was killed. Beyond that, what we need to know, and they need to know, is that this won't happen again. If there's been judgment this bad, this obviously bad, this is beyond Iran-Contra stupid, because they didn't even have a safeguard planned in this. If they do not say, these people had this bad judgment, they no longer work in an area in which they can apply that kind of bad judgment, then no, we can't let go. This is one of those opportunities for the administration to lead and say, look, we're going to get anyone who was involved in authorizing this, if their judgment was involved, which it would have been, and it was bad judgment, they can't do this job anymore. That's all we're asking. We are asking to make sure this doesn't happen again, and the family deserves that too.
Congressman Darrell Issa, thanks for your time this morning.
You're most welcome.